Welcome to the Welsh Yogi Podcast.
Welcome everyone to the Welsh Yogi Podcast,
Hare Krishna.
episode number 23.
23?
And we're going through Sri Upanishad, one of the Vedic literatures of India.
Sanskrit. We're currently in Exeter. We're travelling.
Yeah, I'm tired today. This is the evening for us.
Half past 8. I'm usually in bed.
Yeah.
Tucked up, sleeping, ready to wake
It's
up.
been raining. I was in, where was I today? Newton Abbot.
Newton Abbot.
That's some nice people. Anyway, so we're going to have, it's going to be a mellow episode tonight. I can feel it.
Yeah, get a nice cup of herbal tea.
That's what we should do, our tea, isn't it?
Nice relaxing blanket. Pull it up.
So this is a podcast. This episode, you can snuggle in bed. You know what I mean? And just listen to it as you're just relaxing.
Cozy.
And with that being said, we're going to get into some deep philosophy.
Deep.
Mantra 15, right?
14. Last week.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Last week we read mantra 13. So, Sri Upanishad, if you're new, and you've just picked one of these books off us from the street, Sri Upanishad has 18 mantras, is it, Krupa?
18, I think.
18 wonderful Sanskrit mantras that are all to do with basically the pinnacle of yoga, which is connection to the source of all creation. We like to say Krishna, the all-attractive person. But yeah, yoga is all about connection. That's what yoga means, is connection. You got the old word yoke. So if you tie up a bull and you're going to plough a field, you yoke that bull. Yoke, yoga, connection, you know.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
Yeah.
The word religion comes from that as well. It means, if you look at it, I looked at it in the dictionary, it means to bind fast or to tie something.
Bound.
So similarly, like to tie something or to link something, you know.
Really?
So similarly, yeah. So that's where, like, what are the religions of the world, or in other words, what are those linking processes for the soul and the supreme?
Yeah, because I guess.
But then after time, it just gets lost, and what you're left with is just the rituals.
Yeah.
But you have the rituals. If you don't know the purpose behind them, then after generation after generation, you think, oh, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
Why is my parents doing this? Why did my grandparents do this? And when you look for a satisfying answer, you know, they say, well, you just do it. You know, you just got to go to church on a Sunday because that's what we do. Yeah. And then you know, naturally, because, you know, we're intelligent beings, we think, oh, what's the point in that? I'm not going to do it. So this is why studying these real sort of wisdom literatures, they actually, when we understand the purpose behind real yoga, real spiritual activity in life,
connection, linkage,
then it becomes
I was thinking what you said,
linkage, is it?
Yeah, like, you know, all these rituals are like the length of chain you have, you know, that links you to God, to the Supreme. But when you don't have the proper connection, that proper link, you're just wrapped up in chains, you know. You're just bound to these rituals.
I see.
It's poetic.
That's poetic, isn't it? Yeah.
Do you want to have a dabble on this Sanskrit then, Cooper?
Okay, check mantra 14 then, yeah?
If you've got this book, we can send you one. No, the other way around. If you don't have this book, we'll send you one. Just send us a little message on our social media. It's a beautiful book. Purple with a nice picture of Vishnu on the front. But yeah, sorry, mantra 14.
This word is coming up again, like it was in mantra 13, now it's in mantra 14 again. This Sambhutam cha vinasham cha yastad vedo bhayang saha vinashena mrityum tirtva sambhutyam ritam ashnute. So here's some advice from this ancient literature. One should know perfectly the personality of Sri Krishna and his transcendental name, form, qualities, and pastimes, as well as the temporary material creation with its temporary devatas, men and animals. When one knows these, he surpasses death and the ephemeral cosmic manifestation with it. And in the eternal kingdom of the spiritual world, he enjoys his eternal life of bliss and knowledge.
Wow. Deep.
So it's no perfectly Sri Krishna.
No, in both. No, yeah, because in the purport it talks about 2 types of energies.
Oh yeah, what's the names?
It's like Prakatim and I can't remember. Let's have a look. There's like 2 main energies. There's material energy and there's spiritual energy.
Yes, yeah.
So like
that's it. Para and apara.
para and apara.
So superior and inferior. Like we talked about that before, innit? There's 2 energies at force in this world. Superior energy, which is like, I guess, spiritual energy, conscious energy, and inferior energy, matter.
Yeah, dull matter.
So the matter the inferior energy needs the superior energy to move and to grow and to evolve.
Yeah.
And without that, then you're just left with a dead stone, dead body.
Yeah. Isn't it said that like this whole universe, before it gets that spiritual energy shone into it, it's just got all these ingredients of these various different elements. What's that called?
Mahatattva.
Is it Pradhan?
Pradhan, yeah. Sorry.
Pradhan. It's like the
unmanifest material ingredients.
Yeah, it's like your Lego box. You know, you've got a box of Lego, but it takes that kid to get out there and build a unicorn toy.
Are you a Lego man or Connects?
I was all of it. Lego, magnetics. You ever played magnetics?
Oh, yeah.
I was high level. I used to make rugby stadiums out of magnetics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're one of those kids, you?
I was that guy. I was like mathematical. But listen now. That magnetic rugby stadium would not have been built had there not been some superior energy, some spiritual energy.
Yeah, it doesn't build itself, does it?
It doesn't build itself. And that's the whole thing. All these cities, all these places around, they don't just manifest.
The Lego box remains in little parts until it takes a living being to put them together into something elaborate.
Exactly.
Like if you go in and you see like, oh look, someone's built this Lego Millennium Falcon.
And then someone says, no, they haven't. It
just appeared. Like I just threw the Lego pieces, on the floor, and it just came up with the perfect
system. Like,
no,
it doesn't work like that. If anything, if we just leave that Lego, it's just going to slowly break down with time.
Yeah.
Like if you leave any. Have you ever seen like an abandoned building?
Yeah, law of entropy, innit?
It just breaks down, And then there's like people out there saying that everything just manifests out of matter. Everything just grows out of nothing. How can that work? Because you leave something and it gets less complex. It destroys.
So that's what Sri Upanishad is saying, innit? Like this where these yoga texts come from, is that there's 2 energies at work. There is the material, which has its laws, but don't forget there's another para energy, superior, which is conscious, which is aware of the matter. So it's like, okay, if you just have atoms, say, for example, if you say from the start of existence, and so, okay, you've got atoms and molecules, and they come together to form some sort of complexity, right? So you've got just a complex combination of matter, and that gets more and more complex. So the question is then, okay, if you think that everything is just what this refers to as apara, or this type of material energy, then at what stage of complexity do all of a sudden you don't just have atoms anymore, but you have the experience of atoms, you have consciousness.
Yeah. Where does it come from?
At what type? Yeah, if you're saying that consciousness, which is known as the hard problem in science, if you're saying that comes from some degree of
complex.
Yeah, it's not come from chemicals, because it's the experience of chemicals. It's something that's complete in another category altogether. And we're completely justified in saying this is a different category, because it's the experience. You have the observer and the observed. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's
because like the
needs to be studied. That's what spiritual literature is for, and that's what like we said, yoga is for.
Yeah.
Study consciousness and the origin of consciousness. Otherwise, if you just study matter on its own, but you're not understanding who is studying the matter.
Yeah, yeah. And the matters, anyway, I don't know. It just blew my mind a little bit to me. It's like I said, we're tired, we've been outside all day in the rain. But, that conscious part, that person that's witnessing, that's like, the matter's always changing around us, like this body that we have. Isn't it scientists say that every 7 years or 8 years, every single cell of your body switches?
I heard that, yeah. I don't know if they still accept
How do they
that.
count? They count every cell, is it?
I guess they just assume the lifespan of
like a skin cell or something. But anyway, you had a little baby's body, then you have a boy's body, then you have a kid's body, and teenager's body. Sometimes now you have goes into a girl's body. Then, the body's always changing. The external aspect of us, that material aspect of ourselves, but the consciousness within is remaining the same. I heard today, Gokbal, the soul, the living entity, it's more powerful than 1,000 suns.
I hear that as well.
Have you heard that before?
Yeah, more powerful than 1,000 suns.
How could that be? Because the sun's... I tell you what I was thinking today, right? I was looking up at the sun. It wasn't sunny today.
Yeah.
But, that sun's always just giving off energy.
I thought the same thing.
You thought the same thing, have you?
I was thinking, right, because you have a fire, and it has, this is, it might seem a bit stupid, but, fuel, fire burns through fuel quite quickly.
Oh, yeah.
Now, the sun has, a huge output of energy, heat and light.
Just crack.
So much so that from, I don't know, millions and miles away, it can burn us.
Yeah, you get sunburn.
Yeah. If they say if the Earth just moves just a little bit towards the sun, then we'll all burn and die. So it's such a powerful thing that's constantly emitting heat and energy with no input. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's like the potency of many nuclear bombs.
Oh yeah.
But just constantly outputting. So I was just imagining the power of the sun. How much potency is just within that.
Yeah, it's super potent. And where you was telling me, wasn't it, about the living entity, this conscious us, we have more power than that, by many times.
Yeah, being times more powerful than the sun.
Because it's power on a different spectrum, isn't it? I guess.
Yes, spiritual power and that
Shakti.
The potential, because especially when the soul is connected.
Yeah.
Because we're like you're saying, we're part of this superior energy.
Yeah.
But due to forgetfulness, just like they say, just like you have a fire, but the sparks of the fire might come off and hit the ground and become extinguished.
Yeah.
If you pick that spark up and you put it back into the fire, then it regains its original brilliance.
Yeah.
So similarly, we're sparks of the Supreme, specifically Krishna, which is described in this verse. But then when we hit matter, we cover it over, we forget our eternal situation.
Twisted up in this maze of material life.
But what this verse is saying, or at least what Prabhupada says in the purport, is that other than this material world, there's an eternal spiritual environment.
Yeah, the eternal kingdom.
Yeah, the whole spiritual environment, just like we have a material environment here in this world, there's an original spiritual counterpart.
Yeah.
And
so a place where you can like this, you can pick stuff up and you can look around. Is that what you're saying? Like an environment, almost like a realm.
Yeah, because just like we have, because sometimes we think spiritual liberation is just it's just not.
It's the antithesis of matter, isn't it? Like that thing.
Yeah.
It's just negation of form, and
that's what we think. We think, if everything material, if this is the material world that has form, relationships, senses, sense objects, therefore spiritual life must be no form, no senses, no sense objects.
Yeah.
But that's actually still just the antithesis of what we know as matter. But what Krishna explains in the Bhagavad Gita is actually this world is a reflection of the spiritual, just like a tree gets reflected on a pond.
Yeah. And there's ripples on that pond which warp what that tree looks like, isn't it?
Yeah, but still there's an original tree.
Yeah.
You know?
But like that's what I'm saying. This material world is a reflection, but it's a little bit warped. It's not quite the spiritual world.
Yeah, it looks like it looks like the real tree. Yeah. But when you try and touch it, it's got no substance.
Yeah, it's illusory.
Exactly. So as spiritual beings, we're trying to gain the happiness that we deeply hanker for in this world, but it's always elusive.
Trapped in illusion.
Yeah. So, which is why I wanted to come to this point in the purport where Srila Prabhupada explains that one can enter this spiritual environment, which is called Vaikuntha, which means there's no miseries.
No anxiety.
No anxieties.
Sounds nice.
Enter these spiritual planets you can't enter without being trained in what's translated as devotional service or bhakti yoga.
Bhakti yoga.
So that's why spiritual life is a certain type of training. You know, the Krishna calls it in the Bhagavad Gita the art of work, training oneself to live sort of selflessly and spiritually in this world. So then one's consciousness becomes aligned with the spiritual reality. Yeah,
this world becomes like a place where you can sort of reawaken your dormant like nature, isn't it? You was calling it cosmic sensitivity training, isn't it?
That's what,
Someone else called it that, is it? I was talking to a boy today in Exeter about it.
Yeah.
But like that idea that, you know, everything in this world is designed for us to actually, like, if we can get to the consciousness where we're like, okay, so I'm a spiritual being, and I'm sort of wrapped up in this material body, and I think I'm a material person. And I'm a material girl in a material world. You know, like that. It's what for, who's that? Madonna?
Madonna,
Yeah. But like we think with that, we're identifying as that. But actually we're spiritual beings. So if we can get into that consciousness, then we see that everything that happens to us is happening for us. You know, so anything bad that happens, it's like, how can I learn from this? How can I sort of, what's the message to gain from this? That's what the cosmic sensitivity training is talking about. So it's like every moment is an opportunity to learn, rather than if you're in material consciousness, you're like, if something bad happens to us, which maybe like makes our material circumstance worse, maybe like, you know, what was Takna saying in class the other day about there's like a story of
so who can say?
Who can say?
I think it's a Chinese story, isn't it?
Chinese proverb, like
he
it's like it was like a king. Oh, he's like a farmer.
He's a farmer,
and his son, he like something like he got his hand chopped off.
No.
I messed up, right?
Something happened with his horse first, didn't it?
I can't remember the horse.
Didn't his son fall off his horse? Broke his arm.
Oh yeah, the son fell off his horse.
Oh, that is unfortunate. Your son broke your arm, so he can't help you.
Yeah, all the villagers came up to the boy. So we'll start, just because I feel like we've twisted and twisted there. Basically, there's a farmer, and he's got this nice, strong, handsome son. And he's on a horse, he's riding around. And all of a sudden, the horse bucks off, and the son falls on the floor and breaks his arm. And all the people in the village go up to the farmer and say, "Oh, it's such a shame. Mr. Farmer, it's a shame. Your son has broken his arm."
Well, good fortune, bad fortune, who can say?
So the deal is now, one sec. I forgot the party. This one is... ruin the story. It's still recording. So basically the son's broken his arm now. They're in the village.
Am I the farmer?
You're the farmer.
Okay.
Yeah. That was who you just was.
Yeah.
So like, son's there with his broken arm, feeling sorry for himself. Father's pretty detached. Next thing comes up, there's a big war in the Chinese Empire. So all of
feudal China and Japan and
exactly
medieval times.
Some proper hardcore bow and arrow type warrior war. And the soldiers come through the village and they pick up all of the young men and they're picking each one up. Come on, you got to come fight.
No, don't go. I don't want to go. No.
And they have to now. This is like China. You don't come, we'll shoot you with an arrow now.
No.
Fine, I'll come. But they go up to the son who's just fallen off his horse. He's got a mangled arm, and they're like, "Oh no, we can't take you. You're ruined. We don't need you." So then, you know, all of the villagers then come up to the farmer. And they say, "Oh, you're so lucky, farmer. You're so lucky. Your son, he's been saved by the war because of his broken arm, you know."
Good fortune, bad fortune, who could say?
Exactly.
There's another one after that, isn't there?
There's loads, but the idea is this goes on forever.
I got a story.
You don't want to say the moral of that story, though? People to understand?
It's the same moral.
I know, I just want to tie this up.
Go on then.
Because we were talking about cosmic sensitivity training.
Yeah, I know.
The whole thing is, everything could happen to us. We have good or bad things materially, from a material standpoint. But...
You just make this point. I'm going to think this story.
Yeah. Good or bad fortune, who could decide? You know what I'm saying? So, like, if we just take everything, okay, there's obviously a plan at play. There's something to learn from this. How can I develop my relationship despite the material things? Then, it's a good way to go through life rather than just like, broke my arm, kill myself.
I got another story.
Okay. Sorry about that.
It's the same point though.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Because I've been studying the 10th canto of the Bhagavatam and the prayers by the demigods when Krishna appeared, sort of thing. Anyway, they say that.
Chapter 2?
They start talking about the absolute truth. Yeah, chapter 2.
Krishna book. Chapter
Krishna
2
book,
of Krishna.
yeah.
If you've got a Krishna book, you can get a Krishna book from the Atma Lounge.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful book. Amazing pictures and paintings as well. If you're an artist, just pick up the book and look at the paintings every day and it'll uplift your consciousness, guaranteed. Money back.
David, don't throw me off now. I'm going to lose my thread. Like
That's why I just said all that.
So wait there.
So yeah, anyone else who want to buy the Krishna book, just jump in and buy a Krishna book.
Anyways, they say you are the supreme truth, and it's explained then that if one sees the world as truth, then like you're saying, then any negativity that seems to happen, they see it as actually sort of like you said, cosmic sensitivity training, something to learn to be more sensitive, more either compassionate or more tolerant even. There's a king, another story of a king. King. Have you heard the story? He's got an advisor. An advisor, everything he says, the advisor. So anything happens to the king, the advisor says, "Oh, it's the mercy of the Lord."
Yeah.
It's the mercy of the Lord.
Mercy.
And then, so the king, he goes hunting, and he, by accident, I can't remember how he cuts his finger off.
Yeah.
And he says, and the advisor says, "Oh, it's the mercy of the Lord, my dear king."
Yeah.
And the king goes, "What do you mean it's the mercy of the Lord?" And he just gets fried. He's just like, "Why do you always say this?"
You fool.
And he throws him in jail. And then the king's carrying. But then the king gets kidnapped by some
rogues,
dacoits. We call them.
Dacoit. What's a dacoit?
It's like a rogue.
Yeah, proper like Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
Like monster. They like all into mantras.
It is like Indiana Jones because they kidnapped the king and they wanted to sacrifice him to Kali.
We were talking about Kali's crown. The queen's wearing the jewel from Kali's crown.
Yeah.
But these dacoits, they worship Kali, who's like the goddess of
and they do human sacrifices.
Human sacrifices. This is like she's got hundreds of arms, a big tongue sticking out.
She's fierce. She doesn't actually accept human sacrifices. It's just people for some reason that now they've become warped and they do offer humans.
It's heavy.
It's rare, but India you still get it in like the hilly tracts of India.
And that's Calcutta, isn't it? Calicut.
Yeah, that's where that got the name from.
Calicut. A lot of Kali worship goes on in Calcutta, from what I've heard. I've never been, potentially it's true.
Yeah, it's sometimes quite dark worship.
But she's a goddess of illusion as well. Maya, the material energy in one sense.
Yeah.
So like this material world that we live in, Kali's like the head sort of deity, you could say. She rides a lion, isn't it? Oh no, that's something else.
That's Durga, which is another manifestation of Kali.
Yes,
but they say like Kali had like when there's huge wars and stuff, like then all the people who die, then the sometimes Hindus say that is like a manifestation of Kali.
Yeah.
Destruction, potency.
Destruction. But yeah, back to the dacoits, back to the king. The king's had his finger chopped off. He's put his servant in jail. And now he's been attacked and captured by these dacoits, these Kali worshippers.
He's about to be
offered for sacrifice.
Yeah. But then they found out they can't offer him because he had a finger chopped off. So they can't offer things that are like not whole, not perfect. It's not a good offering sort of thing. Yeah. So they just roughed him up a little bit and threw him in the bushes or something. Oh, there was a bit though when the advisor got put in jail. Yeah.
He was like, "Oh, it's Krishna's mercy. It's God's mercy."
He said that.
Yeah, because he was like, he's so like, he's proper into cosmic sensitivity training. So he's like, "Oh, you've arrested me, King? Thank you. This is the mercy of the Lord."
Yeah.
So yeah, the guy's got chopped off his finger.
So when the king goes back to the advisor, he sets him free. He says, "Oh, look, I'm sorry, you were right, you know. It was the mercy of the Lord I got my finger cut off." He said, "What I don't understand is how was it the mercy of the Lord when you got thrown in jail?"
Yeah.
And the advisor said, "Because if I was with you and they caught you, they would have realised that your finger was cut off and they would have offered you, and then they would have taken me instead."
Yeah.
So it's all going on, isn't it?
So yeah, we don't know what the plans are for our life, you know. So if we just throw everything out the pram when bad things happen, then we can miss that there's actually we're on a better path, you know what I'm saying?
There's bigger things at stake. And
But yeah, I guess this mantra 14 is saying that for those people who I don't know how I'm going to bring it back to this now. We did talk about it to begin with.
to be fair, there's much more important things in this mantra than what we focused on,
That's what I'd say.
especially when it comes to understanding
Krishna.
His
transcendental name, form, qualities, part times. I know the Sanskrit is Nama, Rupa, Guna, Lila.
Yeah.
Nama, Rupa, Guna, Lila. So that's what I'm saying. It's Krishna. He's got a name. We all know Krishna's name.
Yeah.
Krishna.
And the point is, all these things also, they're completely transcendental, spiritual. And like we were saying before, there's a spiritual, believe it or not, you know, there's information that there is a spiritual world.
Yeah.
You know, spiritual planet, just like there's material planets. And we're eternal spiritual beings. We're part of Krishna. And yoga ultimately, you know, means the zenith of all spiritual practices is to
connect.
Yeah, in a deep relationship of love with the source of everything, which is Krishna.
Yeah.
And then that uncovering of our eternal love of the living being qualifies us to enter into the spiritual world, which we're all, which we're meant to. We're not actually meant to be in this material world, you know. And deep down, people know that, you know. It's like, where's my desire for, you know, my unquenchable desire for happiness, love, and constant, you know, engagement in loving relationships and happiness. You know, is that just some curse that I've been like, you know, burdened with, that I have to carry around in a world that is built into it is frustration, sort of thing. But actually, no, it's not. You know, it's there for a reason. You know, if you're just a bunch of chemicals, where did this bunch of chemicals get the desire to be happy from?
And what does that even mean if you're just chemicals, to be happy? It's interesting though, because what you're saying there, because you brought up this part of the purport.
Yeah.
This is how we started talking about cosmic sensitivity training. But no one can enter the spiritual Vaikuntha, in other words, the realm free of anxiety, the spiritual world, without being trained in devotional service. And then you just said that, like, the goal of life is to love Krishna. But, like, how does that love manifest? Is through service. So, like, even in this world, if we love someone, we'll serve them. The mother will serve his child. Like, you know, your mother will cook some meals for you, or, you know, wash, especially when you're a baby, like, wash you, dress you, clothe you. And, like, that's what they say, that a mother's love is the closest thing to, like, that spiritual love in the spiritual world, you know, because it's the most unconditional kind of love there is here in this material realm, you know. But even, like, girlfriends and boyfriends, there's always, like, an element of service, even though it may be tinged with some other desires. Like, love ultimately manifests through service. So, like, the idea is that by engaging in this path of
service is the real, you know, if you say, like, you know, if you say to your wife, "Oh, I love you, I love you, I love you," and she says, "Well, you know,
prove it.
Can you do the dishes then, please?" Says, "No, I'm not going to do the dishes, but I love you, I love you, I love you." Then it's like, well, you know, just words doesn't really mean anything. You have to do some service. If you buy a gift for your loved one, that's service, because you've had to work for that money to buy the gift. So the basic principle of real love is service, even more than what we call the feeling. Because, you know, you can get, you know, some I don't know, some creepy man can have a hankering after some girl, can have a feeling, but actually he just wants to exploit and enjoy her body. But if someone was actually really loved someone, then they would do what they can to make the other person happy, even go out of their way. So the principle of actual being trained to love is in actual service, is in actual selfless service. So
that's that element of service,
which is hard to train, but it bears fruit. Sorry.
And that's what that path of Bhakti Yoga, that highest connection. Because Sanatan Dharma, if anyone's read Bhagavad Gita, which I highly recommend, in the introduction, Prabhupada, he explains that like Dharma means like the essence. Like the Dharma of water is to be wet, the Dharma of fire is to be hot and give off light. The Dharma of the soul is this like nature to serve, isn't it? So like this like intrinsic nature of the soul is to be a servant. Why are you laughing at me now?
No, I'm listening.
Oh, you're giggling.
I know, I'm having like good.
So we're trying to serve, but how do we do that? Is okay, you throw me off with your giggling.
No, you're talking about Dharma and serving.
What was I saying? Sorry, I was just
like water is to be wet. The Dharma of fire is to be hot.
Yeah.
It's the Dharma of
the soul,
the self. Yeah,
the self. It is the serve.
Nice.
So like so that's what I mean. We all want to love, isn't it?
Yeah.
Want to love and be loved, isn't it? Anyway,
nice.
So back to training though, the path of Bhakti Yoga, the path of actually practicing this is to use this material world that we are in, and we can't escape it immediately. Like we're not just going to pop and become spiritual. The art of Bhakti Yoga is to actually engage all of this material energy that we see and transform it back into spiritual energy through service, which sounds kind of far out and mystical. But like it is quite simple. It's like you engage all of your different senses in the service of the supreme energy. So like one thing, I don't know if anyone knows this, but like some people will. When we cook food, we cook it with this mentality of loving and service and sort of devotion and service.
Who does when they cook food?
The devotees, the Bhakti yogis, they cook it with this consciousness of okay, I'm going to cook this food and I'm going to offer it to the source of all creation. I'm going to offer this food to Krishna, the love supreme, the most loving being that is available. And that process of offering in that consciousness, and then we actually do offer it. So like we say certain like mantras or prayers, and you can do this at home. You can get a picture of Krishna, or a picture of basically a picture of Krishna, or even like a Bhagavad Gita, and you can cook a nice healthy meal.
I mean, it's good practice. Even just in everyone's house, if you have a little sacred space in your house, like some people have like a little altar, or it could just be a little space with their spiritual pictures and just go, But you need that Jesus. Focal point in your house. That.
But yeah,
I'm going off track now. But
I just finished that though. You just like you can offer that meal to Krishna, and that spiritualizes that meal, and by spiritualizing it, then you're starting to turn that matter, that food, those atoms, into something spiritual. And actually, I was reading with Daichari, one of the boys. Apparently, like when you do this, the process of eating this sanctified food, this spiritualized food, it makes the fine tissues of your brain spiritualized, which it sounds far out. Maybe like you don't have to believe that. But there's definitely something in even just from like a material standpoint, brainwashing. There's something in washing your brain, like joining. No, I'm joking. But like
there's
it's like conscious cooking, isn't it? Patram pushpam palam plum plum.
Yeah.
What are you saying?
I'm just trying to remember. I think that we got accused once of putting. The Hare Krishnas got accused of putting drugs in the food because people would just get like this one Christian tried to, he went into Hare Krishnas undercover to try and like, I don't know, expose us or something.
Yeah.
And he was like saying they must put drugs in the food because it tastes so delicious. And then they called the police, and the police went in and looked at everything, and obviously there's nothing,
No.
What we do is just offer it with love.
Yeah. There's definitely a tangible potency to it.
There's tangible potency to just absorb. Yeah, I was going to say before I forget it. Yeah. Just interesting thing, just pretty out of the blue, just because I just remembered. I met someone the other day.
Yeah.
So it's just on his, but he said he did a PhD in studying like religions and stuff.
Yeah.
But he said in times not long ago. So I guess like. When everyone was like, I don't know if it was Victorian times or probably like even
churchly times.
Not even long before like World War I or something.
Yeah.
The average person in Britain used to spend 2 to 3 hours a day in deep prayerful meditation. Yeah, you can. Yeah. So imagine like
there's loads of churches around from that period. Like.
So and it would be part of their day, part of their schedule. That was just done. Everyone did it.
Yeah.
It's like now we're like, oh yeah, I do meditation, but
do Headspace for 5 minutes.
Yeah,
which is good.
Yeah, but I just think it's a shame that we've lost that. Really, that culture of like just everyone. That's what you. Do and I'm quite attracted by that because I think now we think of like I've got a church and it's just sort of, but if you go just that little bit deeper, you can just imagine like where everyone's going deep in sort of meditation, contemplation, really like going mining deep sort of their own sort of qualities and
sounds like and it's a more connected world then, isn't it? Because we think we're connected, we've got social media, this web of internet that's like interconnected.
But we're not connected to ourselves.
Exactly, it's connected on that sort of, because we were talking about the external, internal, the material, energy, spiritual energy. It's connected on that material platform. But when you're doing internal sort of yoga, spiritual work, you're connected automatically to all living beings more deeply, because you can start to understand that this person I'm speaking to is a spark of like really potent and divine kind of
more brilliant than a million suns.
More brilliant. This person's more powerful than a million suns. It's not like here's an ugly boy with.
This is Joe from Spa, like.
Yeah, it's not just a man working in Spa. This is 1,000 suns. Yeah, it's interesting what you say.
Is it?
It's interesting what you say. But no, that idea, maybe you can offer some food. Make sure it's vegetarian, because Krishna, what is he saying in the Bhagavad Gita?
Patram, pushpam, palam toyam. Is that what you say?
Yeah, it means one can offer me with love and devotion.
Leaf, flower, fruit,
water.
Yeah, try not to eat any meat or anything, because it just causes suffering and pain to other living beings. More so than vegetables. I know vegetables are alive as well, but
you can pick a cauliflower and not kill a plant. Like.
You pick an apple and not kill a tree.
Exactly. It's brilliant. Speaking of apples,
we've been Welsh yogis.
Nice to meet you, everyone. Thanks for coming to tonight. We're just going to give you a nice high five virtually and a hug, and make sure you eat all of your spinach. Hare Krishna.
All goes to Prabhupada.
All goes to Prabhupada.
Madhashikshana Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinam Madhashikshana Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinam